It can be a problem in our home. It can be a problem in our society. How do we deal with kids who are sore losers? I've got 4 specific strategies that I'm going to share with you about dealing with kids who are sore losers. And the last one has to do with a communication style that's going to improve all of your relationships. We've all dealt with it, right? You just finished a family game and somebody is swearing and tipping over the table. Or you just got home from the soccer fields and now we've got to deal with someone who is sullen and withdrawn for the whole evening. Being a poor loser affects everyone else in the whole home, and it changes the tone of everything. We've got to get on top of this. So let's start with this first strategy. I want you as the parent to control the timing, the content, and the emotion of dealing with this particular issue. Now, you're not controlling the emotion of your child. Obviously, they're having a little issue with losing the game. I'm talking about controlling the emotion of you. We have to have parents stay in a calm place in order to really effectively intervene with their kids. And that's one of the biggest challenges that we have as a parent. We've got other videos that are going to help you with that. So I won't get into all of the details about that right now. Let's go back to controlling the timing, the content, and the emotion. Now, what does that mean? You don't want to intervene with a child in the heat of the moment. Usually, that's not going to be well received, right? So they're having a little tantrum. Is that the time to approach them and talk about this? Probably not. Let the storm pass. And storms always do. And the other reason controlling the timing is so important is because you need to be ready for this. You need to be in a place of emotional calmness that allows you to handle this appropriately. So watch the storm, let the storm pass, and then we're going to address it at a time when everybody's calmed down a little bit, because it is important, but it's probably not urgent. What does it mean to control the content? Well, content is what we're talking about. And have you noticed sometimes when you're talking to your kids or to your teenagers and they say, well, and they run off with something else? For example, well, you're always saying that we have to, whatever, okay? And they try to make it about you. Well, you're not being fair. Well, the coach was favoring everybody else. Well, the referees don't know what they're talking about. Okay, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about your anger issues right now. We're talking about you being a sore loser. We want to control the content and don't get sidetracked. Sidetracking comes from the old railroad industry. It's literally a track that runs alongside the main track. It doesn't go anywhere. A sidetrack is there for the purpose of putting cars over there so they can rearrange the order of the cars in the train, or get things turned around, or get off to the side while another train passes the other direction. It doesn't go anywhere. It's a sidetrack. And your kids are trying to sidetrack you by changing the content. Here's one of the tools that helps with controlling the content. The word nevertheless. Okay? You can use that. I understand that you're upset about the referees. Nevertheless. And then we bring it back to we need to act with respect and dignity when we lose. So we'll get to some of those communication techniques here in just a minute. Control the timing, the content, and the emotion of when you handle this with your child. That's going to change the game for you. Now, the next thing that you want to do is have a clear conversation with your child about the stages of maturity. We talk about those stages of maturity in some of the other videos here on the channel and in the parent coaching that we do. It's really the place we need to start. The quick version, stage 1, selfish, immature, fighting, refusing to cooperate. Stage 2, cooperation, negotiation, working it out, communication. Stage 3, responsibility, initiative, taking control of yourself and the situations. Okay, so which stage is your child on? If they're being a sore loser, that is a manifestation of stage 1. And our kids need to understand what that means. Here's the short version. The more mature you are, the more control you get to have. Control is the same thing as freedom. And what do our kids want? They want freedom. If they're being immature by being a sore loser, they're going to lose freedom. And we can structure the discipline so that they can start to learn that in very powerful and direct ways. The more mature they are, the more freedom they get to have. That's what your kids need to know. And here's a little secret that I tell the kids. It's not just about how mature you are. It's about how mature your parents think you are. Because they're the ones that are sharing the control. Kids want control. Parents want maturity. And so that's a nice little transaction that's just waiting to happen. Kids can have more control and freedom if they'll give their parents more maturity and responsibility. Learning how to lose with dignity is something that will give your child more control, and they need to know that. That will give them one of the reasons to do it in the first place, because it's kind of hard. Let me throw in another little piece to this, because it's not just losing with dignity and respect. It's winning with dignity and respect. How do they handle winning? Are they throwing that in the face of their opponent? Are they gloating and pridefully strutting around after they win? Are they trying to make other people feel badly about losing? See, that's not cool either. And it's a sign of immaturity. So we want to teach them both sides of that spectrum. Win or lose. We do it with respect and dignity. Why? For your child, it's because they get to have more freedom and control when they can exercise that level of maturity. And there's ways to teach them that through consequences and also through communication. We'll come right back to that. Hey, I've got 2 more strategies for you, but before we get to that, click on that subscribe button down below to get more of these kinds of videos, and make sure you hit that notification bell. That way you'll know every time we release a new one. Once you've established the importance of maturity as being a connection to your kids' freedom and control, we want to give them opportunities to practice. And this is where parents get a little nervous because they haven't had great experiences in the past, or because it's been a problem or an issue for quite some time. One of the things that I suggest to parents is to have a weekly family council meeting. Now, it doesn't have to be as formal and hoity-toity as that sounds. It is simply a time when the family comes together on a regular basis. Do it at the same time, same day every week, and then kids come to expect it. And there's 3 things that make that powerful. You're going to teach or discuss a certain principle. And this is why I'm giving you the tool, because this is the time when we can implement some of the practice. You're going to teach and implement some kind of a principle with your family. You're going to have fun together, and you are going to enjoy a treat. All 3 of those are important because that helps your kids to anticipate this time coming together, and it gives you as a parent time to actually share some of the principles that are important for you to teach your kids. And this is the context in which you can do this. We're going to practice and give them opportunities for both winning and losing. One of the ways you can do this, go buy a new game that maybe the family is familiar with, or they've played in the past or not. It doesn't matter. Find a game that's appropriate for your family and break it out during your family council meeting. We're going to play this game together. And you set it up beforehand, okay? You set it up beforehand. What we're practicing here is winning and losing with dignity and respect, okay? That's our objective. You think sometimes when you play a game you have to win. Well, you're not going to win every time. You know this, but you want your children to know this too. So what we're practicing is winning or losing with dignity and respect. You might have a little conversation with the kids also. What do we get from winning? What do we get from losing? Because there's upsides and downsides to both. And you know this because you're an adult. Your kids don't know it. How are they going to know unless we teach them? Give them opportunities to practice it and model the appropriate behavior. Hey, if you're losing your cool anytime you lose a game, or if you're gloating and holding it over their head when you win, what do you think they're going to pay attention to? Practice this yourself too. Win or lose. We're going to do it with dignity and respect. And then practice. Give them practice opportunities. This next strategy I have for you is a communication strategy, and this will improve any relationship that you're in. I'll share it in the context of what we're talking about here with helping our kids who may be sore losers. It has to do with 2 conversations. Think of it as a primary conversation and a secondary conversation. The primary conversation up here on top, that's the one that everybody can see. It's what we're talking about. The secondary conversation is down below the surface, and sometimes it's hidden. This is what everybody's thinking or worried about, but nobody's really saying. So the strategy is we're going to make the secondary conversation primary. We're going to actually talk about the thing that nobody's mentioning. And you can do this as a parent and get away with it, but you can also do this in a boardroom, or you can do this on a sales call. This is such a powerful strategy. So here's what it might look like. You're having one of these practices with your child, okay? Or you bring home a new game, or you're about to leave for the soccer fields. You know that this has been an issue in the past. And so you make the secondary conversation primary, and it is, I'm really excited to see your game, but I'm a little worried about how you're going to feel after the game, depending on whether you win or lose. Okay, so you just made the secondary conversation primary. I remember a time with my third son. He's a bit of a gamer. He likes the video games. You probably know some people who are in that category as well. I remember he was playing a new video game. He had just got it for his birthday or something, and he was playing this video game. And I heard from the other room, I'm kind of a little bit of a distance away, but I heard from the other room, ow! And then he threw the game controller down on the floor, and he got up and he stomped around. I'm like, what just happened, right? Well, probably he ran into some challenging things in the game and lost. So I approached him. I controlled the timing and the content and the emotion. In that moment, I think what we did is just turned off the game and gave him some cool-off time, which he was already wanting to do anyway because he had lost the game. He was really frustrated. But I came back to him a little bit later and I said, hey, buddy, I get these games for you as a gift because I think you're going to enjoy it. And it didn't seem like you were enjoying it. And he was able to talk about it because he was at least on stage 2 where he's able to communicate and cooperate. And he said, well, I do enjoy it. I just get so frustrated when I can't do it or when it gets hard. And that gave us an opportunity to talk that through. See, I made the secondary conversation primary. Hey, you don't seem to be enjoying this game, right? And I don't want to confront him or do this in a way that is accusatory or blaming. That brings up the defenses. And so bringing that secondary conversation up and, I really want to give you time on your games, but I'm afraid that we're going to have meltdowns and you're not really going to enjoy it. See, that's what I'm thinking. I just need to say that. This is a powerful strategy that helps you to actually talk about the issues and steer your kids into a more mature way of handling their games. Parenting is certainly not for the weak of heart, is it? And especially when it comes to teenagers. Did you know there are 5 things that every parent of a teen should know? Watch that video next, and it's going to open some things up for you.